Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mate Nason's top 100 games of all time that I love to play. We have finally reached the halfway point. We have counted down 100 to 51, and today we are going to start with the bottom half with game number 50. So let's go. Game number 50 came out in 2014, Quartermaster General. There are a lot of World War II games out there, but this game is unique. It is a team game, 3 versus 3, and that is how you should play it. Each player will play one of the Axis or Allied powers, and instead of a straight up combat game, this game is about logistics. You are trying to maintain supply lines to hold on to different regions in the map. There is combat. You'll be playing cards that just simply say destroy one unit adjacent to you, things like that. And why you want to do that is once those units are destroyed, you'll be able to play cards to move your units and build them in that empty region, as long as you have a complete supply line that connects it back to one of your supply hubs. This game is great. The point scoring is so simple. Each supply hub you control is worth some points, and at the end of every round, you'll just count how many supply points your team controls, how many the other controls, gain some points, move on to the next round. The game has some asymmetry, but just a small amount. Each faction plays differently, to the effect that, of course, Japan has more naval cards. They're a little better at building navies, where factions like Russia is not good at that at all. You also have event cards that play onto the strengths where you can help each other's teams that are unique to each faction. USA, for example, has cards to help England and so forth. Really fun game. It's a great 6-player game that doesn't take hours upon hours to play. It can get over really fast, especially if everybody knows what they're doing. A great game, Quartermaster General. My 49th favorite game to play is The Gallerist, a game by Vital Lacerta. He is famous for other games like Lisboa, Vinhos, Kanban. His games are dense and thick, and this is one of the games of his that I really enjoy. You are opening your own art gallery, and you get to do everything related to that. You need to advertise at radio stations. You need to get in patrons to pay membership fees. You need to get exclusive contracts with different artists, lure people in with ticket discounts. You are basically managing your own business. The board is beautiful. The pieces are gorgeous. The art's wonderful in this game. It even comes with little easels to put your art on as you're buying these different pictures. I can't remember if there's an auction phase or not in this game, but you are, of course, buying art for your gallery. This is a fun game. My favorite Lacerta game, The Gallerist. My number 48 game is 7 Wonders Duel. 7 Wonders showed up in the prior list, but Duel just edged it out as a little bit better of a game. I love the tightness of the game. The 2-player back and forth is wonderful. There are different... I love drafting games, and it's hard to do a draft with 2 players, and the way they came up with this drafting mechanic of taking cards from the center of the table, you want this card, so you need to get it, but you're worried that it might unlock other cards your opponent needs. It just gives you so many great decisions. It still has the theme of 7 Wonders, where you're getting these resources to build your wonders. It has these different tracks you have to pay attention to. You might have to switch your strategy halfway through the game. If your opponent starts doubling down in military, you're gonna have to go in there to stop them from taking over and winning the game. 7 Wonders Duel. It's got some great expansions for it too, but this game just in the base is phenomenal. Highly recommend it. My number 47 game came out in 2014, currently ranked number 117 on Board Game Geek, and that is Istanbul. Istanbul is a worker placement game with an interesting twist. You'll be moving your column of workers. There are these little discs that are set up in a pile, and you'll be moving them around the central board, and where you end up, you'll drop off a worker, and then you'll take the action on that space. And then on your next turn, you'll pick up your columns of discs and you'll move them around the board and drop off another worker and take the option on that space. And vice versa, if you already have a worker on that space, you can pick up the worker into your column to take the action on that space. So you end up making this little chain of workers, dropping them off, picking them up, dropping them off, and picking them up to take these different actions. The game is a race game where it's just the first to collect a different amount of gemstones depending on how many people are playing. So you can look around the table and say, oh God, he's running to 5 gemstones really quick. I've got to level my game up or I'm not going to win. So it's got this tension built into the game. There is so much variety here because all those different spaces that you can stop on, it's a modular board, so you can move them around every game, which makes the different combos you do different. It's got a great expansion that I highly recommend, the coffee expansion. Really levels this game up to the next notch. It's not too hard of a game. It is mid-weight, but it is a lot of fun. Istanbul, my number 47. My number 46 is a Corey Konieczka game. He is, of course, famous for TI3. He did Star Wars Rebellion, Forbidden Stars, and this is Star Wars Outer Rim. This is a very simple pick up and deliver game where you are flying around the outer rim of Star Wars, playing some of the famous characters like Han Solo or Boba Fett. And each game gives you different missions. You might be hunting bounties for points. You might be picking up illegal goods and transporting them, or maybe you'll even do a job for Jabba the Hutt. It is a sandbox game that is just simplified down to its very core and essence. It is not over bloated, it's not over complex. I'm thinking of games like Zia, where there's almost too much going on. This game just keeps it simple, but still has that fun game where you feel like you can do anything. It's got an amazing dice manipulation where you have to roll these different dice in order to succeed at different missions, and different characters and crewmates you can hire can help you modify those dice. Turns play pretty fast in this game, especially compared to others in the sandbox genre, and you are interested in what other people are doing as well, because things they buy or goods they drop off you can later then maybe get. Star Wars Outer Rim, a very fun sandbox game. My number 45 is a Stefan Feld game, and of course he is famous for point salad games, and this game is point salad in spades, and that is Castles of Burgundy. Came out in 2011. It's ranked number 15 on Board Game Geek. The production value of this game is not very good. It has a lot to be desired. Even in the new reprinting, I think could be better, but the game itself is solid. You are drafting these different tiles. You have this central board that has all these different tiles, maybe some farm animals, different city buildings. You'll purchase them, buy them, and then you'll put them on your board in their different regions of your village. And they'll give you different bonuses for filling up these different colors. It's got some dice rolling. It's got a market phase where you're selling collections of goods. It's got turn order mechanics where you can buff yourself up to take earlier turns to get those tiles that you want. I mean, everything you do in this game gives you points. You always feel like you're moving along at a good pace. Castles of Burgundy, my number 45. Number 44, we're going back to the world of Star Wars, and that is Star Wars, the X-Wing Miniatures game. A lot of people are turned off by miniatures game, and I understand that because they can be expensive to get into. But this game is solid. I have not played with the second edition rules. I have only been playing with the first edition, which is more than enough for me. It is basically a two-player game, as most miniatures games are, where you will be flying around your Star Wars ships trying to eliminate the other players. I love how you have these dials on the game where you will secretly select how far and fast these ships will be going, if they'll be turning left or right or going straight. So it is dogfighting to a T. You can upgrade your ships with different cards. Of course, what the downside to that game, of course, is that Everyone should really understand the upgrades. The game is better when both players have pre-made their armies, but you can make some pre-made lists. The game can be taught very simply as well. It is just a fun game. Star Wars, the X-Wing miniatures game. My number 43 is another economic game, another Euro-style game, and that is Clans of Caledonia. This game came out in 2017, currently ranked number 44 on Board Game Geek. Clans of Caledonia is a game where you will have a central board where you'll be building sheep to gain wool, cows to gain milk, maybe cheese dairies to turn that milk into cheese, and it's all about getting these goods to fulfill contracts. It's got another market manipulation board. I love games where you get to manipulate markets. You can buy and sell these goods instead of producing them, and of course that makes the price fluctuate. So maybe you're making a lot of cheese, but you don't need cheese for your contract, so you can sell them all and then use that money to then buy some goods that you might need. Or you could maybe have a strategy where you go heavy in trying to produce all the goods you're going to need, so you don't need to deal with the market. Lots of different strategies you can do here. Every round of the game has a different scoring objective. I love that, where you might need to do something for this contract, but at the end of the round, you're going to get points for doing something different. So what do you do? So it's got a lot of interesting decisions. And that is Clans of Caledonia, my number 43. 42 is a game, Court of the Dead Mourner's Call. It is ranked 920 on Board Game Geek. It just came out in 2019. This game is beautifully produced. It is a gorgeous game to look at, but even under all that, it's a rock solid game. There is so much going on in this game, different mechanics that I love. It's an area control game where you're going to be trying to control these different regions in the underworld. Each region you control will give you different bonuses or points or abilities at the end of every round. Every round will have different objectives you're trying to complete, and you'll get points if you're the person who completes that objective. There are different factions in this game that you can hire different minions to fight for you, and each one has different abilities, so you can change your strategy by hiring these different minions. There are bidding elements of this game where you're gaining crystals and you're bidding for different things to happen every round. It's got a wonderful draft phase as well, where you can draft these characters from the underworld that'll give you a special bonus every round. I mean, whatever it has, it's got it all. And even though that might sound overwhelming, it's not. It is so streamlined that you can pick it up pretty fast. And it is just a great game. Court of the Dead, Mourner's Call. The last game we're going to be talking about in this top 10 list is another Matt Garrett's game. In a prior list, we talked about some of his games, and this is Imperial. Specifically the one that came out in 2006, currently ranked 207 on Board Game Geek. This game is a World War I game where taking over the board is not the objective. You are basically playing as investors, making money off of this war. You will invest in different countries. You'll be giving them loans to buy shares and stocks in that country, which gives you controlling interest of them. If you are the controller of that country, then you get to dictate where their pieces move. The more lands that they control gives them more money, which gives you higher dividends, and the game is all about making that money. So if someone is taking control of England, for example, and they're doing a great job, then you need to start investing in England. There are parts of this game which can be really funny, where maybe you won't control a country at all. And everybody has bought up other countries, and you've lost controlling share or stake in a country. There are times where you might control 2 or 3 countries. So the ebbs and flows of this game are great, but you can still win the game whether you control 1 or 2 or 3 countries, because it's all about getting that dividends from countries that are doing well. Great stock market manipulation game by Matt Garrett's, and that is Imperial. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this top 10 list, counting down 50 to 41. We are now in the home stretch, counting down the top 50 games. I'll be back for the next episode. Feel free to like and subscribe. Write in the comments any games that you like here or disagree with or think should have been higher or lower. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Stay tuned and looking forward to that next video.